Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show.
We just got breaking news in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. It is an off day Monday, and the Giants have just taken 2 of 3 from the Boston Red Sox. They won the last 2 games of the series over the weekend. They're 3-3 on the homestand. They are 10 games over 500, 3.5 games behind LA in the division, but they are still currently in a wild card position. And back on June 8th, when Matt Chapman dove back to first base on a pickoff attempt, felt like he messed up his hand, was going on the IL. He went on the 10-day IL, and then reports started coming out that no, it's not necessarily a minor thing. He might miss, maybe till the All-Star break. It felt like this is the time the Giants are going to just fall off a cliff, fall back in the standings, maybe not fall out of it, but really put themselves behind the 8 ball. And since then, Casey Schmitt has stepped up. And, I'm not going to sit here and say he's Matt Chapman. That's not the point of this video. But, he's come in and given you Matt Chapman or better production for 12 games, which has really helped the Giants stay afloat. But we're going to dig in on, his season as a whole right now. We're going to talk about some of the metrics, all the stuff. Is it sustainable? Kind of my opinion, what I'm seeing, why I feel, parts of this are going to be sustainable. Obviously, he's not going to hit 415 for the next, 5 months and be on his way probably to a Hall of Fame career or anything like that. But we're going to talk about kind of how I think he can sustain, generally speaking, what he's doing and kind of what he looks like as a player going forward. But before we do that, if you guys enjoy the content, please do hit that like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, especially this week. We're going to have a lot of content coming out this week. Both here, I'm going to be taking a visit over to some other channels. I'll be with Dan over at NorCal Sports Network on Wednesday night for their post-game show. So if you want to come hang out with us there, make sure you do that. We're going to have my minor league reports going to come out tomorrow as usual. And we also have a conversation we're going to be doing with Roger Munter, talking a lot of Giants prospects. So not sure what day that will get released, but we're going to be doing that interview with him, or that baseball conversation with him. And we'll be, releasing that to you guys sometimes this week. And, we'll also have our live show on Thursday as usual, Thursday night, probably about 8:30. So yeah, come hang out for those. But first of all, let's just start with Casey, the season he's having right now. If you look at the entirety of his season, in 104 plate appearances, he's hitting 286. He's got his 831 OPS. The on-base percentage being at 369 really stands out to me. He's got a 137 WRC plus, meaning he's been 37% better than the league average hitter this season. Has 4 home runs, 8 total extra base hits, has 15 RBIs. And a little nugget that I thought was interesting, he has 10 walks already this season and 104 plate appearances. In 2023, he had 13 in 277 plate appearances. So that kind of really stood out. Now, also the last 12 games, this is where it's been kind of insane. He's hitting 415 with a 1,210 OPS, 4 home runs, 5 extra base hits total, has 12 RBIs, 5 walks. Even if you want to throw away the grand slam he hit off Kike Hernandez, you're still talking about a guy hitting over 400 in this span with over 1,000 OPS, with 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 5. Like, it's still a great stretch of baseball, even if you want to toss aside the grand slam off a position player. But the biggest things that stand out to me, on the year, you look at his chase, whiff, strikeout, walk rates, which to me are the most indicative of Casey Schmitt and where he's going to be, because you look at the batted ball metrics and they jump off the page. If you go on his Baseball Savant page, like if you take a look at the batted ball metrics, they really stand out right now. It's a lot of red. Now, he's not a qualified hitter yet. He hasn't enough plate appearances, so you're not going to see like what percentile all is, all these different things are, but they really stand out. And you go back to past years, and the batted ball metrics aren't necessarily the greatest. And, sometimes people can think like, oh, well, he's hitting the ball harder and that's why he's being successful. And to me, I don't think that's the case. It's really coming down to he's swinging at better pitches to hit and he's being way more disciplined. Because you go back to 2023, his chase rate, it was 38.5%, whiff rate 27.1, strikeout rate 23.5, walk rate 4.7%. Last season, he got over 300 plate appearances in AAA. He got a ton of at bats down in AAA. He was an everyday player down there. And when they would call him up, yes, he was getting sporadic playing time, but he at least was getting a lot of reps that season in the box. And what I saw in AAA, where he got his walk rate up over 8.5%, and this is why I've been a big proponent of giving him an opportunity at some point. I wanted to see him get a chance because he started to show the discipline last season. He started to show that he was making better swing decisions. Now, he pressed when he came up to San Francisco because, as it's natural for a lot of players, they don't want to go back to AAA. They come up and they think, oh, I'm going to get, 13 at bats. I better make the most out of them. And he did press, especially the first call up. And then the last, 3 or 4 call ups when he came up, you could tell he was a different player. You could tell he had a lot more discipline. He was trying to not to do too much. He was being, he was just doing his job is the best way to put it. And, the chase rate made an incremental improvement on almost everything last season. 36.8% chase, 25% whiff, 22.1% strikeout, 3.5 walk. That obviously went down at the major league level in a small sample size, but in minor leagues, it had gone up quite a bit, which was a promising sign. So that is a big part. And I'm not here to go hard on Tyler Fitzgerald. I like Tyler Fitzgerald. I think he's actually an excellent bench piece and helps raise the ceiling of his team if he's in a utility role where he can go play all around. He might be the right-handed answer in right field to Mike Yastrzemski when a lefty's pitching. There are things that you can do with Tyler Fitzgerald because he has so much versatility. But going back to Casey here, now in 2025, his season totals, chase is at 27.9%. Whiff is at 28.9%. The strikeout rate, obviously the whiff's up a little bit. The strikeout rate's at 25, walk rate's at 9.6%. He's being more aggressive with his swing. He's getting better pitches to hit. He's hitting the better pitches. So to me, the batted ball metrics aren't really what's explaining his success. What's explaining his success is coming down simply to him giving a much better at bat quality. And now let's go all the way down to these last 12 games. In the last 12 games, he's striking out 19.6% of the time. He's walking 10.9% of the time. His whiff rate's 25.7%. So all those numbers are coming down, except for the walk rate's going up. But the biggest thing in the last 12 games, he's only chasing 15.8% of pitches out of the zone. For reference on how good that is, if you take every qualified hitter and you go look for the league leaders in chase rate, number 1 is Juan Soto, who's at 14% chase. That's top of the line, elite. Number 2 was, I believe it was Lamont Wade Jr., who is over like 16.8%. So Casey Schmitt's 15.9% chase rate in the last, or 15.8% chase rate in the last 12 games, over a full season. He's not going to do that over a full season, but it's second to only Juan Soto in Major League Baseball. That's how good his bat quality has been. Now, is he going to do that over a whole year? I wouldn't anticipate him having a 16% chase rate on an entire season, but he's showing just a big focus on that. He talked about it after yesterday's game, after he racked up 4 hits against Boston, and they asked him about, his chase, and he just openly said it was a problem, and it's something that he's really focused on the last 2 years, and he's getting more and more comfortable. You're seeing it against right-handed pitching. He's not chasing that slider down and away every pitch. He's not chasing everything over the zone. He chases some, every hitter does. You get fooled. you're sitting dead red fastball. You think you get it, you swing, and it's a slider out of the zone. It happens. Chased 2 pitches against, I think it was Cleveland the other day with Clase pitching, where he chased strike 2 and strike 3 on nasty sliders down and away that he just buried him. And it happens. You're going to get got at the major league level sometimes. That's part of the game. But to me, if he can sustain this kind of plate discipline, not to this level, but if he can sustain this kind of plate discipline and have at least league average discipline, if what he's showing right now, the 27.9% chase rate on the season, if he can show that on over like the course of a whole year, what I believe you're going to see a very solid contributor. Sometimes he's going to get cold, but when you're drawing some walks and you're swinging it, making better swing decisions, it's going to shorten up your valleys. It's going to raise your floor as a player. So I look at Casey and I see a guy that he could be a really good just player in general, like a really solid hitter. He can be a solid contributor. I still think you're looking at a guy that might hit like 270, 280, but he's got the power to hit 20 to 25 home runs. He hit, I think, 23 in the minors 3 years ago. Last season, he hit 19 between Sacramento and San Francisco in 448 plate appearances. So not even a full season. It's like 3/4 of a year, or 75, 80% of a season's worth of games, and he hit 19. This season, he's got 4 in 104 plate appearances. And, obviously most of those have come in his last 50 when he's playing every day, and he's clearly settled in at the moment. So I do think the power, you're looking at a guy that can hit, 20 to 25. I think he's got an approach that can be pretty successful with runners in scoring position. I think he can knock in quite a few runs. We're seeing the strikeout rate go down. We're seeing the whiff rates going down. Now, he's not a perfect player. No, I mean, no player is. If we want to nitpick and look at the things that he's struggling at, he's still struggling to hit breaking balls. We take a look at his career, and you're looking at a guy that last season hit 136 against breaking balls. This season, he's hitting 171 against breaking balls. Now, he's not chasing them. To me, that's the big positive. He's not chasing them a ton. He's still swinging and missing, but he's swinging and missing within the zone. So it is something he's going to have to improve on if he's going to be, a top end player. But I still feel like when you look at Casey, I think the offense is legit when you look at what he's doing and how he's doing it. It's not 2023 where he's just swinging at everything. And, he's connecting and pitchers are giving him pitches to hit and he's just hitting swinging at everything. He's actually putting together decent or disciplined, high quality at bats consistently. Now, I would have compared him and Fitzgerald's numbers, and we were going to go down that rabbit hole. I was tracking both of them during this span because I wanted to basically say, both of them got to play every day. Here's who deserves to start second base going forward. I'm pretty sure we can call this fight. I mean, I'm not even going to go into Fitzgerald's numbers, but Casey's playing that well that he's kind of forcing the issue. So let's talk about his defense at second base, because we all know Matt Chapman's going to come back and Matt Chapman's going to play third base, and rightfully so. So defensively at second base, Casey Schmitt's played 371 innings. He's made 2 errors in that time. This is between minors and majors. Keep in mind, he learned second base in 2023 and like on the fly. In the major leagues, he's played 258 innings. He's made 1 error, as a 991 fielding percentage. 2023, when he first learned, he comes up to the majors. They send him down. He learns second base kind of on the fly. They bring him up, kind of like what they did to him playing first base this season. He played 135 innings. He was worth -1 defensive run saved and -2 outs above average. Not ideal, especially in a small sample size. You're probably thinking, oh, this not great. 2024, he's at least gotten a little bit more comfortable with the position. 120 innings worth 0 defensive run saved, but 1 out above average. So he was actually a above average defender in that short sample size. And in the offseason, we interviewed him and we talked. And one of the things we did ask him about, because it did appear that second base was probably his future, because he's not a shortstop. Like, that's pretty clear. He can do it in a pinch, but you don't want him at shortstop every day. And Chapman's entrenched at third base. So we asked him in the offseason, what he thought about second base. And he said he was significantly more comfortable there, having actually learned the position. He had spent most of this offseason focusing on second base because he knew that was probably his best pathway and where they're going to need him the most. And, he talked about things like being more comfortable with the spin off the bat because, people got to remember, like, it's a different spin that you're getting at second base versus the left side of the infield. Same thing that he was dealing with over at first. So it's an adjustment, but he was, he talked about how much more comfortable he is. He said he thinks he can win a Gold Glove there. I actually agree with him. I think he has that potential. Now, is his range the greatest of a middle infielder? Probably not. He has an excellent first step. He has pretty good instincts. I think he's proven that much, especially defensively. But a couple things he does that I think are incredibly underrated skills. Number one, he's actually a great tagger. That's something that goes kind of underrated. Javi Baez is kind of known for this. But Casey Schmidt's like in that echelon. He is a great tagger. And that's going to be valuable, especially when covering second on like stolen base attempts. But the other thing is he's got an absolute cannon. And some people might say, oh, that's going to get wasted at second base because of the short throw. You know what? Second basemen have to take a lot of relays. And I don't think people realize just how many. A lot of times it's the shortstop or second baseman taking the relay, depending on where the ball is hit. And, Willie Adames has a great arm at short. And Casey Schmitt has an absolute cannon at second base, a better arm than Willie, quite frankly. And you can send Casey out on a lot of these relays, and that arm is an absolute weapon on those plays. So he has the upside there, and he's a pretty sure fielding glove. So I think he has the upside to be a high-end defender. And I think his bat, he's probably not going to be a 37% better than league average bat every season, year in and year out. But I think he's at least can be, 10 to 20% better than league average on a pretty annual basis. And 25 home run pop, as I mentioned, maybe a 270 hitter, around an 800 OPS, especially. I didn't think the 800 OPS would really be in play until I saw the walk rate come up. And now that he's actually getting on base, I think it's actually doable for a guy like him. And the reality is second base position has become pretty watered down around baseball. If Casey Schmitt gives you those numbers, and he's an above average defender at second base, you're talking about like a top 5 to 10 second baseman in baseball. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he does going forward. I'm obviously super happy for Casey. Like, he's been one of my favorite Giants the last couple of years. I always do try and stay objective. 2023, I was definitely like, this guy has to go down to AAA. He needs work. There's a lot of things they need to work on. And had I not seen it in Sacramento in 2024, and especially in San Francisco, the tail end of the year, had I not seen that, I would not have been as high on Casey this season as I have been. And it's an excellent test case for guys like Luis Matos. When you talk about, like, give these young players everyday reps and see what happens, because you just never know when a guy's going to turn the corner. I was high on Elliot Ramos. I could not have predicted what he did last season. I've been high on Casey Schmitt. I could not have predicted what he did and what he's doing so far this season. I'm still high on Luis Matos. And if he goes off like this, I won't sit here and tell everyone, hey, I predicted him to go off. Like, I just think these guys can be good major league players. And I think they have their solution at second base on the roster right now. And he's just happens to be playing third base until Matt Chapman comes back. So let me know what you guys think. Obviously, it's a smaller sample size. That's why I'm not trying to make any like bold proclamations like this is an all-star MVP, whatever. It's just, how sustainable do we think what he's doing is? So tell me what you guys think. Like I said, if you do enjoy it, please do hit the like, hit the subscribe. We really appreciate it for channel growth. And I'm going to see you guys a whole bunch this week. So you guys will probably be sick of me by the end of this week. But anyway, have fun, or have a good week. Good Go Giants. And we'll see y'all later.